Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 307 based on novel. So let's start. Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin on the court looked at each other, then they stopped hesitating, nodded heavily, and their body shape immediately withdrew from a distance of tens of feet. At the same time, Xiao Yang turned his head and glanced at Xiao Dingtian, who was frowning on the stage and staring at Xiao Dingtian here. The corner of his mouth raised a radian, and then his palm waved out of thin air. In a twinkling, the huge black ruler fell into his hand in a blink. Starting with the heavy ruler, he brought up a wind full of oppression, pointed at the ground obliquely, and the strong wind of hunting blew the dust on the ground. Then he gave a severe shock. Just listen to the puff. The raging flame covered the whole giant ruler in the blink of an eye, and the temperature between heaven and earth also increased sharply in this moment. It's really a strange fire. On the stand, Xiao Dingtian looked at the raging flame covering the whole ruler. When his eyes were neutral, he showed a surprised look. Even the other elders here also stared at the flame attached to the ruler with a surprised look, and his eyes showed a hot color. The expression gradually returned to indifference. Xiao Yang's palm holding a huge ruler became tighter and tighter. A moment later, the soles of his feet suddenly took a step forward. At the place where they landed, the extremely hard black rock slabs were unexpectedly stepped out of several cracks. At the same time, a surge of momentum and pressure also swept out from Xiao Yang's body. The cold cheers of indifference spread all over the audience. Xiao Yang, Sang Xingyuanzong, please give me your advice. Wow. As soon as he said this, the people present couldn't help crying out, and an uproar rang through the whole audience. Countless eyes immediately focused on Xiao Yang, and their eyes were full of horror. Is this guy crazy? He's going to fight 1 against 2? A few years ago, Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin would not be inferior to him. Now Xiao Yang dares to be so big that he can defeat 2 with 1. It's beyond his capacity. I'm afraid I know I will lose, so I want to use it as an excuse. On the elders' table, after hearing Xiao Yang's words, the elders immediately heard a burst of discussion. As Xiao Dingtian's aides, these people naturally despised Xiao Yang's move. On the contrary, they were the latter at this time. They looked at Xiao Yang in surprise. Even he didn't expect that Xiao Yang would be so crazy. Hey, did you break the jar? Or did you have a deadly card like his ancestors? Xiao Qian seemed to comment jokingly, but this fell into Xiao Dingtian's ears, which made the latter's heart thump. In his mind, there was a sneer on Xiao Yang's face when he looked here. At the bottom of his heart, there was an uneasy mood unconsciously. If you want to put all your eggs in one basket, it depends on how he loses. After a long time, Xiao Dingtian snorted coldly. Then he stopped paying more attention, sat back in his seat and looked at the field at the moment indifferently. At this moment, when Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin felt the powerful momentum in Xiao Yang's body, they couldn't help nodding slightly. Besides, this arrogant momentum alone was enough to make them face it squarely. Okay, here we are. With a hearty drink, they stepped forward together, waved their palms, and threw out their weapons. At the same time, they were also 2 powerful momentum and pressure, which swept the audience again at this moment. Xiao Zhuobin, 4-star Yuanzong, fight. Xiao Lei, 5-star Yuanzong, ask for war. As soon as the words fell, everyone in the audience immediately made an uproar again. The accomplishments of Xiao Yang alone were enough to crush the vast majority of the young generation of Xiao nationality present. What they didn't expect was that the accomplishments of Xiao Zhuobin and Xiao Lei were even more terrible. A 4-star source sect and a 5-star source sect, either of them has more accomplishments than Xiao Yang. At this time, the latter has to face them at the same time. There is an absolute difference in strength. Naturally, the result of this battle is self-evident. At this moment, when Xiao Yang felt the more amazing momentum from Xiao Lei's body, he couldn't help but sink a little. The current situation is naturally the last thing he wants to see. It's okay if the other party is 2 4-star source sects, but if there is 1 more 5-star source sects, the whole situation is not easy to control. Although it seems that there is only a slight difference between the two, when it comes to the real battle, Such a gap is like a gully in the sky. Moreover, Xiao Yang's cultivation has just broken through the Sangxingyuanzong. On the field, with the rising breath in the three people's bodies, the atmosphere suddenly condensed on the huge stone platform, and the surrounding uproar gradually became quiet. Everyone's eyes were focused on the three people, waiting for the arrival of the outbreak. Drink. In the middle of the arena, Xiao Yang slowly closed his eyes and took a long breath. Immediately, his eyes suddenly opened. In his dark eyes, the flames flashed past, and the turbulent source gas suddenly gushed out of his body surface. Almost at the same time, he let out a low drink in his mouth, and the soles of his feet suddenly stepped on the ground. His body suddenly broke through the void and rushed directly at the two opposite people. Dang! Without too much fancy, the collision between the two sides is the most explosive way to collide in one place. The huge ruler wrapped by the flame collided with the purple spear haunted by lightning. The huge hum made the invisible void surge for a moment. What a heavy force! Feeling the amazing force from the giant ruler, Xiao Lei's face changed slightly. Then he suddenly stepped back, then waved his long gun and stabbed at Xiao Yang's body under the package of lightning. Ding ding! The spear front is sharp and the attack is swift and violent, but in contrast, the wide and strong giant ruler has not fallen in Xiao Yang's hands. The ruler front rotates one after another to resist all the gun shadows. At the same time, the strong strength on it also makes Xiao Lei's tiger mouth with the long gun painful. After 100 times of collision, the two fought more and more fiercely, and the body method flashed faster, so that some Xiao children in the stands could not see their specific body shape, while the others stared at them with hot faces, unwilling to let go for a moment, and exclaimed from time to time. At this time, Xiao Zhuobin on the other side held a long sword and waved it. The shadow of Taoism gradually solidified in the void, and then turned into countless sword lights. As his long sword suddenly waved horizontally, his body rushed forward. At the same time, those sword lights also brought a sharp sound of breaking the air and shot at Xiao Yang. Brother Xiao Yang, be careful. This is his original famous skill. The falling wind divides the shadow sword. Xiao Lei shakes Xiao Yang back in one fell swoop and reminds him with a laugh. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang didn't look back, but he covered the whole audience with his majestic soul power. He let those sword shadows shoot. The huge ruler in his hand was higher than his head, the flame condensed, and then he chopped down suddenly. Try my move, 7 times to break the sky ruler. The startling Kai Mang suddenly shot out, and Xiao Lei's face showed an unexpected color. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yang ignored behind him and attacked himself. He didn't dare to hesitate at that time. The long gun in his hand spun, the thunder light flickered, and the turbulent source gas gathered wildly. In the twinkling of an eye, he had condensed into a thunder dragon on the long gun, and then stabbed forward. Thunder moves the sky. Boom! The two fighting skills collided with each other, and the sound of explosion rang out. Xiao Lei retreated rapidly. Looking up, there was still no specific situation at the center of the energy explosion, but he could see clearly. In the center of the energy-filled field, a series of ruler and orn burst out, sending out a series of collision sound, crushing the sword shadow falling like a rainstorm. In the middle of the venue, Xiao Zhuobin looked at Xiao Yang, who was coming quickly. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. He himself was a wind attribute, so he was quite sensitive to speed. However, Xiao Yang in front of him was surprised that he could burst out such an amazing speed with the cultivation of Sangxingyuanzong. However, Rao is so. When Xiao Yang's body is close to the range of 10 meters around his body, he gently points the ground with his toes, and his body immediately flashes. In an instant, he has appeared on Xiao Yang's side, crisscrossing with his previous body. In an instant, the long sword in Xiao Zhuobin's hand waved horizontally, and the sharp sword chi broke through the void and directed at Xiao Yang's vital points. Hiss! However, just when the sword light was about to hit Xiao Yang's body, the latter's body was strangely submerged in the void in his shocked eyes. At the next moment, behind Xiao Zhuobin, a palm was slowly attached to his back. With a slight shock, his body immediately shot forward. Until dozens of feet away, he stopped with an incredible look on his face. He immediately looked back into the field and lost his voice. What you understand is not the road of fire, but the road of emptiness. Hihi, I never said it. What I understand is the road of fire. At this time, a faint banter laughter suddenly came from behind Xiao Zhuobin. When he turned his head, he immediately saw Xiao Yang with a smile on his face. At present, he felt shocked again in his heart. Tut tut, it seems that we all underestimate you. At this time, Xiao Lei came forward again, raised his hand and looked at a trace of blood in his eyes and palms. They couldn't help grinning. They had been practicing outside for so long. They didn't expect that they would suffer because they underestimated other people's strength. Although there are some reasons for Xiao Yang's excellent combat power, this really makes them feel a little uncomfortable. Hey, in that case, we have to show more real skills. Xiao Zhuobin's figure flashed and suddenly appeared at Xiao Lei's side. They looked at each other and smiled. Then they looked at Xiao Yang in front of them and joked. Hey, it's said that brother Xiao Yang has also cultivated the god of fire anger, one of the 3 god furies. It's not as good as today. Let's try it. You god of fire anger is comparable to our god of thunder anger and god of wind anger, Fengshen anger, Thor rage. In the arena, Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin quickly looked at each other, and then nodded heavily. They flashed back with tacit understanding. In the blink of an eye, they seemed to have appeared in the arena near the auditorium. The 3 people were far apart, leaving a huge space for each other. With 2 cheers rising to the sky, the turbulent source gas also gushed out of their bodies. Between heaven and earth, the hurricane turned sharply and thundered. They gathered over the heads of the 2 bodies and gradually turned into 2 solid great bodies. An extremely heavy and powerful momentum also quickly spread from them, which made all the Xiao children present show their surprised faces. Compared with what they have seen before, the 2 great gods in front of them can be regarded as the real wind god anger and thunder god anger. Thick purple thunders surrounded the colossus like boa constrictors. The lightning turned around. When the air was neutral, there was a crackling sound. Looking closely, the invisible void was blown apart by the thunder. In the void around, countless lightning purple snakes swam around like living creatures. A huge thunder net was formed, and Xiao Lei, who was in it, soared again. On the other hand, Xiao Zhuobin is also unwilling to show weakness. The wind is gradually rising. Heaven and earth want to change. The astringent hurricane swept through the whole audience. The hearts of those who contact nearby are filled with cold, and the eyes of fear fall on them. At this time, some people on the field can't help but have a trace of pity for Xiao Yang. The absolute suppression of cultivation, coupled with such powerful fighting skills, even if Xiao Yang tried his best, he could never resist it. Ha ha ha, brother Xiao Yang, my purple thunder is a variation under chance. Its power is better than that of ordinary thunder. This 1000 thunder area is a secret technique created by me. I don't know how sure you are. Xiao Lei laughed heartily, showing the heroic meaning in his words. The thunder python entrenched on his body also gave a low roar, with amazing momentum. Falling into the wind abyss, this is the secret I learned when I was practicing the rage of the wind god. Brother Xiao Yang, can you stop it? Xiao Zhuobin smiled, his body shook, and his steps stepped forward. In such a big fighting field, there was a terrible wind pressure falling from the sky. The whole stone platform seemed to fall into an infinite abyss in an instant. Even Xiao Yang's face at the moment could not help changing. It's amazing that they are all self-created secret. The endless wind pressure falling from above also made Xiao Yang's body sink slightly at this time. There was a secret way in his mouth, but there was no fear in his heart. Under the wind pressure, Xiao Yang slowly raised his head and looked at the 2 towering bodies. He couldn't help raising a crazy smile at the corners of his mouth. He hasn't met such a situation for a long time. Today, he will fight happily. Drink. Suddenly, accompanied by a clear and high roar, Xiao Yang burst out from his mouth. His sinking body suddenly shook with force, and the ground under his feet broke instantaneously. A vigorous momentum surged out of his body. The body stood up. Xiao Yang didn't move much, but raised his hands and clapped heavily. Surprisingly, there was a heavy sound like gold and iron collision between his palms. At the same time, a burst of dazzling golden light broke out on Xiao Yang's body. Giant elephant. The golden body was condensed and shining brightly. When the audience looked at it, the domineering momentum emitted from the tall golden body was no less than the former two. But before they thought otherwise, the tall golden body suddenly raised its hair and drank like a heavy thunder. An amazing pillar of fire suddenly burst out, and then everyone in the audience was surprised, quickly cover the golden body and turn into a body of fire in the twinkling of an eye. Fire god anger. Ju perfectly coincides with Huashen's anger, and the extreme display of physical strength and source qi makes Xiao Yang's state reach a new height at this time. Come to war. The giant covered by the flames suddenly gave a heavy low drink, and the whole ground trembled when the soles of his feet stepped on it. The huge body bumped forward like a bull, but Xiao Lei didn't mind. They drank violently one after another, followed by waving their huge fists, wind and thunder, and rushed away at Xiao Yang angrily. Bang! The low explosion immediately rang through without any excess source gas. At the moment, only the distorted and broken space ripples diffused under the extreme collision between the two sides. The huge arena was also destroyed into rubble during several collisions between the three at this time. The three collided without any superfluous skills, but simply relied on all their own strength, boxing to meet, wantonly squandered, and carried out the fanatical fight between the three in the simplest way. The so-called avenue is simple, I'm afraid so. With each fist falling, the emptiness was broken, and the fists and palms intersected. The huge fighting field turned into ruins in an instant. Ha ha ha, good. I've been living in danger for 2 years. I haven't done anything like this for a long time. Brother Xiao Yang is really good. Have a good time. The three people collided violently like an explosion. When they withdrew from each other for a distance, Xiao Lei couldn't help laughing up and twisted his body. Under the huge virtual image, a crackling sound of bone collision immediately sounded. Then his eyes turned, but they looked at Xiao Zhuobin on one side. They tacitly understood and smiled. Then they quickly lifted their hands and pinched their fingers. The action is surprisingly consistent. Brother Xiao Yang, this move was jointly created by my brothers. It is also with the help of the anger of wind and thunder. If you can beat me today, you will be regarded as winning this battle. How about it? The laughter rang out, and the people present really saw that the huge virtual image of Function's anger and Thor's anger was gradually dimmed at the moment. All the energy on it was gradually integrated together under the control of the two people's minds, and turned into a virtual image intertwined with wind and thunder. At the same time, it was more powerful than before, also gradually diffused from it. Seeing this, Xiao Yang slowly closed his eyes and breathed out a long breath. Then his eyes suddenly opened. Different fire suddenly appeared in a pair of eyes. At the same time, the rebellious laughter also spread. I can't wait to fight. In the battlefield like a piece of ruins, Xiao Yang and Wei Anli, and the three colossus scattered to reveal their true faces. At the same time, right in front of Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin, a strange virtual image intertwined with wind and thunder condenses again. This fighting skill is made by combining the anger of wind and thunder. Although I dare not say its power is comparable to that of the road, it is not inferior to the intermediate fighting skill of the Italian level. Brother Xiao Yang, be careful. Xiao Lei and his wife have a tacit understanding and loudly remind each other that Xiao Yang can't help but slightly raise his eyebrows after hearing the speech. There are self-made secret skills in front and integrated fighting skills in the back. Their talents are really terrible. Who? For a long time, Xiao Yang took a deep breath and immediately spit it out. As soon as the fingerprints changed, the overwhelming different fires surged out of his body, and then quickly differentiated and condensed into 4 different fires. For different fires are floating in the sky. The terrible high temperature makes the air between heaven and earth become dry in an instant. It's good that everyone on the court has good cultivation skills, which can be resisted. RAO is so. In the eyes of many people, there is still a sense of shock. Strange fire, the most uncontrollable force in the world, did not expect that it not only appeared in Xiao Yang's hands, but even mastered 4 kinds. Such a number can really be called terror. On the elder's seat at this time, almost at the moment when Xiao Yang differentiated the 4 flames, everyone's faces were covered with a thick look of disbelief. Even Xiao Dingtian and Xiao Qian at this time were filled with endless horror. Is that falling heart inflammation? Isn't it the body of the fire candle of the great elder of Yangxianzong? How can such characters be swallowed and refined by him? Somewhere in the grandstand, Xiao Ming, who was juxtaposed with Xiao Xian and his party, looked at the scene on the field, his eyes suddenly frozen, and he couldn't help being stunned. However, compared with the current situation, the next scene frightened everyone present. With the illusion of different fire, Xiao Yang almost didn't have any superfluous actions. With a skilled clap of his hands, he directly mixed them together and quickly fused them with a raging fire. This sudden scene also solidified the eyes of the people present for a moment. Then everyone couldn't help taking a breath. His eyes were filled with shock. He looked at the calm Xiao Yang in the field, and a burst of uproar rang through. This madman. Is he dead? Except for a few, the others were all looking at Xiao Yang in horror. Some elders in the elders' seat even got up to deal with the accident. Looking at Xiao Dingtian at this time, after the shock at that moment, they calmed down a lot. Staring at Xiao Yang's calm face, they were more worried, but still curious about his behavior. Xiao Lei's eyes swept over the 4 strange fires in front of Xiao Yang, and a faint surprise flashed in their eyes. Then they looked at each other and smiled. Their hands moved, and residual shadows emerged. With the change of their fingerprints, the turbulent source gas was injected into the virtual image in front of them more madly. Until a certain moment, the roaring wind between heaven and earth suddenly stopped as if it were still. The huge virtual image combined with wind and thunder also gradually stopped wriggling. A towering breath slowly diffused from it. The absolute power made this heaven and earth tremble. Feeling the overwhelming breath from the Colossus, the faces of the people in the stands around the arena have changed. Under the cover of this terrible breath, even at this moment, their hearts are filled with a sense of decadent frustration, an awe-inspiring breath of death, unconsciously floating in their hearts, as if all vitality was under this force, will be wiped out. What an amazing fusion fighting skill! Well, the fusion fighting skill is different from the ordinary fighting skill. The power of this secret skill will be greatly enhanced with the continuous improvement of the strength of both practitioners. Once this power reaches the peak, it will be unparalleled. At the top of the stand, Xiao Dingtian and Xiao Qian looked at this scene on the court. They couldn't help but show a happy look in their old eyes. It's valuable for future generations. This move, we will name it, Wind, Thunder, and Anger. At this moment, the two brothers seemed to integrate their consciousness, and the soul-shaking hum slowly came out of their mouth, together with the wind and thunder anger image. This move is very strong. On the stand, Xiao Mingyuan stared at the angry statue of wind and thunder, and his low words were also full of worry. Don't worry, he won't lose. On one side, Xiao Xian slowly breathed out a breath, raised a smile at the corners of his mouth, and stared at Xiao Yang at this time. His dark eyes were full of confidence. Although the giant god on the field is strong, the power of the thing condensed between Xiao Yang's hands at this time is definitely better than that. You too, take me a Buddha anger lotus and try it. In the field, Xiao Yang, who was under the attention of the public, slowly opened his hands. At the moment of the light blooming in the palm, a gorgeous fire lotus also slowly bloomed. Strangely, after the fire lotus was born, the atmosphere in the field suddenly fell silent. On the elders' table, Xiao Dingtian and Xiao Qian stared at the fire lotus in Xiao Yang's palm in shock. The air was silent, and they could even clearly hear their own heartbeat. Under the attention of the public, Xiao Yang gently sent his hands forward. The fire lotus was harmless to humans and animals. It gently swayed in the void and flew forward slowly. Looking at the huge virtual image of the body, the comparison between the two seems like the difference between peaks, clouds and cranes. Who? When the gorgeous fire lotus crossed the void, Xiao Lei, who was waiting calmly, breathed out a breath again, put his hands together, leaned forward slowly, and the terrible pressure also fell down with the fall of the Colossus. Wind and thunder rage. The limitless wind and waves swept to both sides like an invisible tsunami. The terrible wind pressure fell head-on. The powerful thunder mercilessly broke through the void and directed fire lotus like a long gun. However, In the void less than 1 meter away from Fire Lotus, the strange distortion disappeared. In heaven and earth, everyone is holding their breath and paying close attention to what is about to happen in the field. At this moment, it seems that even the heart has stopped beating. Among countless pupils, there is a huge wind and thunder virtual image that reflects the magnificent momentum, together with the seemingly brilliant Fire Lotus, until the next moment, the earth-shaking collision suddenly erupt. The solidification of the atmosphere between heaven and earth lasted only a moment, and then it was suddenly broken by an earth-shaking explosion. The white clouds above the blue sky were also washed away at this moment. The terrible impact, like the collision of meteorites, broke out an earth-shaking sound in an instant. The whole arena trembled at the moment. On the ground, there were jong-wide cracks that spread like spiderwebs. The arena built by a whole mountain peak was under the crazy impact of such terrible energy, rapid collapse. Stop the arena and never let these energies continue to spread. Suddenly, Xiao Mingyuan's cheers rang out over the huge square, but it was not waiting for Xiao Dingtian and others to take action. Then, around the arena, golden energy beams suddenly rose into the sky and quickly intertwined and connected. In the twinkling of an eye, a huge array cover was formed to cover the entire arena. On the stand, Xiao Xian stood in the air until the knot in his hand fell. Then he took back his eyes and looked at Xiao Yang and others in the field again. This war is not over yet. Buzz. The energy ripples full of the smell of destruction spread rapidly from the place where the two hit, and then bombarded the thick and huge array cover around. The terrible energy directly caused the array cover to vibrate violently in an instant, and the sound like a bell spread. The vigorous energy ripples made the people present unable to see the situation in the scene, but listening to the constant explosion, it was still exciting, and the terrible ripples that bombarded the array cover one after another also made the hearts of the people present beat violently, for fear that the array cover would burst suddenly. Kaka. In a short moment, there was a broken click sound on the array cover, and countless people's hearts were suddenly cold. Seeing that the array cover didn't support, Xiao Xian couldn't help frowning. Then he waved his big sleeve. He saw a stream of light flying out of the ring, and then quickly integrated into the array cover. A powerful energy breath also spread from the array cover again. The originally fierce array cover also quickly settled down at the moment. Did you spell it like this? Xiao Dingtian frowned and sighed. When he looked up, he suddenly heard that at the center of the battle circle, at this moment, there was a hissing sound. Purple thunder rushed out of the sky and hit the array cover. Then he suddenly turned his head back and collided with the Fire Lotus. At the same time, a terrible hurricane roared rapidly within the array cover, forming an amazing huge wind roll. The cyan energy gathered continuously, impacted continuously from top to bottom, connected with the thunder and fell continuously. Bang bang bang. The dull explosion sounded one after another until it finally disappeared completely. The purple thunder still rushed towards the center of the explosion. Everyone present was suddenly stunned. Their eyes immediately gathered and stared at the center of the energy ripple. It seems that in the end, Xiao Yang's Fire Lotus still failed to surpass the wind and thunder anger of Xiao Lei. Hey, boy, did you finally lose? It's over. The appearance of this scene in the field also surprised many people present. Although they said so, they also knew that Xiao Yang could fight two strong people whose cultivation was stronger than his original clan with his own strength. In this regard, he could not lose, but the bet was there after all, and everything was irreparable. On the elders' table, Xiao Dingtian took a long breath. His mood was both relaxed and melancholy. In terms of the situation in the scene, the bet between him and Xiao Yang was obviously won. However, after this war, Xiao Yang's frightening combat effectiveness was also reflected. It's impolite to say that no one among the Xiao people today can have Xiao Yang's frightening combat effectiveness among their peers. However, since the matter has been settled, Xiao Yang is bound to leave the family. Although he has some regrets in his heart, he is in charge of the cabinet after all. Some things are still embarrassing. Hey, what's going on? At this time, there was a sudden sound of surprise and doubt on the grandstand. The audience who had already cleaned up their eyes and planned to wait for the results turned their eyes to the battle circle in the field again. There seemed to be something unexpected that was slowly emerging. No. At this moment, even Xiao Qian on the side of Xiao Dingtian was suddenly staring at the field. His eyes were full of shock. Old man, I'm afraid the result of this battle will far exceed your and my expectations. For a moment, Xiao Dingtian suddenly regained his mind and followed the former. The next moment, a pair of old eyes were stunned. The expression on the whole old face also gradually solidified. The array shrouded the fighting field. At this moment, the turbulent energy after wave is slowly dispersing, and all the situations buried in it finally appear in front of the whole audience again. At this time, the huge fighting field seemed to turn into a huge pit, during which everything was destroyed into nothingness. In mid-air, 3 figures stood reluctantly, their faces were all pale, and their clothes were all broken under the attack of energy, so that they were covered with scars and bloodstains. But the most shocking thing is not the 3 figures at this moment, but at this moment, after all the energy on the field has dispersed, it is still a small lotus heart floating in the void. On it, a flame like a living creature is jumping wantonly, like laughing at the dispersed wind and thunder anger. Seeing this lotus heart, Xiao Yang, who was covered with scars, smiled happily and looked at the 2 brothers opposite. The latter too also found this at the moment. At the same time, they were shocked by it, but also relaxed. They grinned at Xiao Yang from a distance. They raised their fists and extended their thumbs to Xiao Yang. Outside the battle circle, everyone present stopped in place like a wooden stake. Countless lines of sight converged on that little lotus heart. In addition to shock, there was a blank in my mind. At this moment, everyone on the court, even the elders on the director's old seat, was slowly filled with a shock on their faces. At this time, everyone knew that in their eyes, the so-called irreversible outcome was successfully reversed in Xiao Yang's hands after all. Xiao Yang, win. The first battle of the martial arts arena ended. For a moment, Xiao Yang's name swept through any corner of the Xiao family like a hurricane. In the next few days, Xiao Yang almost became the focus of everyone's speech. It is unique to win by fighting the 2 strong Yuanzong with one's own strength. In a quiet secret room. Who? With the spitting out of the turbid air, a layer of light luster also appeared on Xiao Yang's face. He felt the strong and powerful source gas in his body, and the color of surprise also appeared on his face. Although the war with Xiao Lei and Xiao Zhuobin consumed a lot, it also made him completely control the power obtained from the breakthrough. His breath was not only completely consolidated, but even had a trend of gradual promotion. After twisting his body, suddenly, a crisp sound of bone collision sounded like firecrackers. After a while of relaxation, Xiao Yang gently waved his sleeve robe, and the light on the ring between his fingers flashed. In a twinkling of an eye, on the ground in front of him, rows of jade boxes were neatly placed, and on these jade boxes, there was a strong smell of medicine. It's like a mist, which makes people know something unusual at a glance. These medicinal materials are all the things needed to refine Zhongdan. They are extremely precious. Any one of them has a price and no market in the outside world. However, now, no matter how much it is placed in front of Xiao Yang, it is general. Huazong pill, 7th level advanced pill. As soon as the palm rotates, a scroll falls into Xiao Yang's palm and is spread out. Xiao Yang carefully studies all the information in it. Even though Xiao Yang already knew the refining method and some details of Huazong pill, this refining is different from the past. As the core medicinal material of Huazong pill, Xiao Yang has only one plant in his hand. In other words, the refining of Huazong pill can't tolerate Xiao Yang's mistakes. The only thing he can do at the moment, nature, is to repeatedly understand its refining process in order to eliminate the possibility of any refining failure to the greatest extent. A quarter of an hour later, Xiao Yang finally put away the scroll in his hand again, closed his eyes and opened his eyes, and remembered all the information in the scroll in his mind. Then, he slowly swept his eyes over the rows of snow-white jade boxes in front of him, took a breath, and suppressed all the emotional fluctuations in his heart. After calming his mood, he bent his fingers and flicked. A black light suddenly flashed through the secret room, but a low bell sounded. Immediately, a huge green and gold medicine tripod fell heavily to the ground. It was Luo Tianding. Shu narrowed his eyes, and Xiao Yang's mind flashed the refining method of Huazongdan again. Then the fire suddenly appeared in his dark eyes, and a sharp color appeared in his eyebrows. Then he slapped heavily on the medicine tripod in front of him, and the top cover suddenly opened with a bang. At the same time, he stretched out his hand, the suction in the palm surged out, and a jade box was opened immediately. A tender yellow rhizome was exposed to the air. Poof! With a slight sound, there was a sudden fire in the medicine tripod, which burned wildly in the medicine tripod. With the rise of the fire, the lines on the surface of Luotian tripod became more and more clear, really covering the world. When the temperature reached a certain level, Xiao Yang took a move in his palm, and the tender yellow rhizome immediately soared into the air. Xiao Yang thought about it. In the air around the rhizome, the flame gathered out of thin air with a puff, and the hot temperature spread, so that the color of the rhizome gradually changed until it turned red. Then one of them was thrown into the medicine tripod. Magnolia root is born in the depths of the earth vein. It is most fed by the power of the earth vein and has extremely superior toughness. If it can be refined and absorbed by earth and rock cultivators, it is possible to greatly improve the strength of its own attributes and make the power of source gas more powerful. As the primary raw material of Huazongpil, its purpose is also to improve the tolerance of Huazongpil itself, to ensure that there will be no change due to the change of flame temperature in the refining process. The refining of the first medicinal material lasts for about an hour, but the next refining process is obviously not easier than this. The careful refining of hundreds of medicinal materials will take an extremely long time. RAO is like this, but also on the premise that Xiao Yang uses different fire to refine. If not, I'm afraid of the refining process of medicinal materials, it will be more difficult. I have to say that strange fire is indeed a real weapon for a herbalist. In the twinkling of an eye, it was 3 days. In the closed secret room, Xiao Yang's eyebrows were locked, and the flames were madly refining all kinds of medicinal materials that were constantly injected into the medicine tripod. The jade boxes placed in front of Xiao Yang were also gradually reduced. In the narrow space, the smell of mixed medicine fragrance lingered continuously, like clouds and fog. Until a certain moment, the last jade box placed in front of Xiao Yang was opened. After a hard struggle with different fire, the medicinal materials in it were finally refined into a small cluster of the most essence powder. With the refining of the medicinal materials, the expression on Xiao Yang's face not only did not reduce a penny, but on the contrary, it became more and more dignified. The refining of medicinal materials is only the first step in the refining process of the whole pill. At this moment, it can be regarded as officially starting the refining of Zongdan, and the next thing to face is the most difficult content. This is the highest level pill Xiao Yang has ever been exposed to in a formal sense. The difficulty is self-evident. Moreover, there is only one chance to refine this pill. Once it fails, there is no possibility to restart the medicine tripod. Xiao Yang naturally understood this. Therefore, he didn't dare to show the slightest neglect on his face at the moment. Who? Staring at the burning flame in the medicine tripod in front of him, Xiao Yang took a long breath, until at a certain moment, his mind suddenly moved and his big sleeve waved. The pure medicinal materials wrapped in the void by the flame were thrown into the medicine tripod in front of him, and he couldn't help mobilizing all his soul power, concentrate on controlling the flame in the furnace and suddenly compress the refined and pure medicinal material. Rongdan begins. Success or failure is in one fell swoop. This video will end here.